Yeah, okay. I mean, we get it. Just to catch everybody up. Jen Hamilton is a creator here on the app who read some of the Christian Bible from her own kitchen table about what Jesus instructs Christians to do: welcome the stranger, care for the needy, you know, supposedly Christian stuff. And because Jen read from the Christian Bible at her own kitchen table, she got tons of calls from right wing MAGA, MAGA, all caps, sorts of Christians to the board of nursing because Jen is a professional nurse. She is a medical professional. And right wing Christians were so upset with her for reading the portions of the Bible that insist upon actually believing the stuff that Jesus said, like those parts where you have to actually do it. You actually have to visit people in prison. You have to actually welcome the alien as if they are a neighbor, just like your native born. All of that stuff. These right wing Christians were so upset that they were essentially trying to get this medical professional fired for reading a holy book at her own kitchen table and talking about it in her free time, not in her capacity as a medical professional. This commenter, it's not our religion. They twisted it to fit their agenda. Listen to Jen reading. It's about loving our neighbor, feeding the poor, clothing the naked. They used it and twisted our religion. Okay, this is the part that's tough. I'm going to send you to a resource that even the right-wing MAGA white evangelicals will affirm this kind of resource. Francis Schaeffer wrote a very short, it's a very skinny little book called The Mark of the Christian. It does not take very long to read. The Mark of the Christian by Francis Schaeffer. In it, Francis Schaeffer offers the idea that perhaps it is Christians who are forbidden to judge whether another Christian is genuine or not. Their job is to hold one another accountable, but they cannot judge one another's faith. However, perhaps God has given the non-believer, the non-Christian, the permission and the right and the duty to judge whether a Christian is genuine or not by their fruits. That if someone is not a believer, not a follower of the Christian faith, Francis Schaeffer, who is not exactly this progressive left-wing voice in Christianity, not at all. Francis Schaeffer offers this idea: maybe the non-Christians are allowed to judge us. Maybe the non-Christians are permitted and given the right by God to judge whether Christians are genuine or not. Pliny the Younger, whose writings we have a number of, reported back to the authorities back home, back in Rome. Hey, I'm paraphrasing here, and I learned this from Dr. Lynn Cohick, a scholar of particularly first century religious backgrounds, amazing scholar. And she has a number of other specialties as well, but in this area, that's what we're talking about, the first century, the rise of Christianity. Pliny the Younger wrote back to authorities to say, hey, don't worry about these Christians. Who would want to be among them? It's just a bunch of women and slaves. It's just a bunch of women and slaves. This was largely the demographic of the earliest Christians, the poorest, those with the least legal rights, those who had very little to protect them in this world. I now offer to this commenter, it is not somebody else's job to monitor your own religion for you. If you are a Christian, it is your job to hold other Christians accountable. It is not your job to tell people who are not Christians, that's not real Christianity. Don't believe them, believe me. Don't believe them even though they're the loudest and the wealthiest and the most powerful, and their actions are having consequences on generations of people here on this planet. Don't believe them, believe what I'm saying. That's not your job. It's tougher. It's more difficult. It's more painful. But your job is to actively stir up your own congregation, your own community, your own diocese, your synod, whatever your organizational structure is. Go out there. Were you there with the Mennonites in DC last year? Were you there with the Mennonites singing the Canticle of the Turning against the mass perishing of people in Palestine? Were you there doing that with the Mennonites? Mennonites are all about peace. I might not agree with some of their other things, their gender ideologies and stuff, but Mennonites pretty solidly anti-war and very much believe that life and death are in the hands of the Creator, not in the hands of human beings. Are you doing stuff like that? It's your job, if you are a Christian, to be actively stirring up your fellow believers. And are you interacting with the right-wingers as fervently as you are coming onto spaces like mine to proclaim, oh, that's not the Jesus that I follow? It's really not your job to tell people who are not within your church, within your faith, within your community, don't believe them, believe me. It's your job to make Christianity ever more believable, to make it a pleasing aroma in the nostrils of God and in the nostrils of your neighbors. Wow, we will know that they are Christians by how loving they are, how caring they are. Wow, there are no orphans in the Christian community because every child always has a home. Wow, there are no people going hungry in the Christian community because they open their doors and they feed everybody. They don't say, well, you spent your money on drugs, so you really don't deserve to eat here. Yeah, the number of Christians who abuse the letters to the Thessalonians, to the church at Thessaloniki, to say, if you do not work, you do not eat. That was for a commune. That was for people living in a commune. That's what that was for. The if you do not work, you do not eat. That means you don't get to come and mooch off the commune when you are a permanent member of this communist community. That's what that was for. So anyway, my point is, check out The Mark of the Christian by Francis Schaeffer. I'm not going to recommend Francis Schaeffer very often to you, or to anyone, but that one I do recommend, and consider this notion that Schaeffer offers. Perhaps it is the right, the God-given right of non-Christians to judge the actions of Christians, and maybe that should be a sobering moment of realization to then spool up into action amongst yourselves, amongst the other Christians, which is your duty and your calling. That is my interpretation. That is my opinion. You can go and say, oh, don't believe them, believe me, but it's not going to be effective. It will not be effective. Ever. Actually challenging the white supremacist Christian nationalists, that's what's effective. And probably feels less rewarding. It probably feels less rewarding in the moment because it's so much more difficult.